Okay, so g'day everyone. Welcome back to another Bush Creek fly tying tutorial. So in this video we're just doing a little larva pattern. Pretty straightforward. It's fairly simple to do. You can do them in a bunch of different colours. This one we're doing in chartreuse, but you can do them in golden olive, yellows, browns, whatever sort of pattern or colour sort of works for you guys wherever you are fishing. So to start off with, I'm using a Hens BL547 hook in size 12, and to that I've added some lead wire. Just going to get the hook into the vise. Lead wire is 0.015 of an inch lead wire, and about, I don't know, 15 or so turns depending on how heavy you want to weight it. And I've just orientated the wire towards the bend in the hook. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to tie on with some nano silk in white 180, and I'm just going to come in and catch that in at the front of the wire there, secure that thread, and then I'm just going to bring that to the back in sort of loose turns to the back of the wire and secure in at the back of the wire, just to sort of lock the lead wire into position there, trim away that waste. Okay, so the tail of this is, and the legs for that matter, are emu. So the tail I'm using is just a natural grey emu, and I'm going to use about, I don't know, four hurls. Just tear them away from the stem, and just make sure the tips are more or less aligned, and tie that in right at the very back as the claspers, I guess. Couple of turns to tighten, and then I'm just going to draw that back to the length. You don't have to be very precise, but you don't want them too long. Alright, and we'll just secure that in there. Several turns, and then trim away these stems. That. Okay, so the body itself, or the over rib, is Hens body glass in micro in number 90, the chartreuse colour. Or D rib would work, very fine D rib. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to catch it in directly behind where the lead finishes, making sure that the D rib is orientated so that the flat is against the shank. And I want to try and catch the end, so it might take a little bit here. And I want to try and catch the end behind the lead so that the lead, I create this nice taper. I don't get a step in the body. And I'm just going to secure that back down to where I finished tying the emu. Several turns there. Make sure that's nice and firm, and then just in open turns, you're just going to come through with the nano silk back to the front of the lead. And for the purposes of this, we're going to use a couple of different materials. So I'm just going to do a couple of turns and tidy up that nano silk, and then I'm going to remove it from the hook. So the next material I'm using is this is overlocker thread. It's stretchy, woolly overlocker thread, which I've just get on big spools and I've spooled. You could use body stretch or even a nice flat thread, but really what you're after is a flat thread that you can colour up. So with this, I'm going to come in and do a few turns in front just to secure it. Trim away this excess. And then, dropped off. Try that again. A few turns to secure it. Right, now we try and trim away the excess. And then just keeping this thread flat. I'm just going to come back over the lead, making sure I'm trying to keep a nice thin profile here, but at the same time sort of cover up all this lead. And I'm just going to work this back all the way back to where I finished the rib, and then come forward again, flat turns, so that I can build up some opacity in the material, in the underbody, without making it too thick. And I'm just going to bring that forward back to where I started. And a couple of layers is really sort of all you need, and then a couple of turns to whip finish to secure that off, and then trim that out of the way. Okay, so to colour it, I'm just using Prism colour here. You just want a chartreuse or whatever colour permanent marker you want to use. And I'm just going to come through and just colour up that underbody and get some colour into it all the way around. And that's all we need to do there. I'm going to come back with the nano silk now, and I'm going to catch it in a bit behind the head, and I'm going to come back to basically where the overlocker thread or the underbody thread has finished. Trim away that waste material, and then I'm just going to do a whip finish here just so the thread doesn't bounce around on me while I run this ribbon up. Okay, so from here, just making sure that your ribbing is laying flat, start at the back, and it's just touching turns, bringing your rib forward. Try not to let go, perhaps. Try it again. There we go. And just bringing your rib up and touching turns over the top of the underbody. And you can stretch it and vary it, but to try and get thicknesses, but usually do it just straight on as long as it's firm. I'll bring it all the way through to the point where I finish the underbody, and then I'm going to catch it in with several turns of the nano silk over and under on the shank, making sure that this is firmly secured, because once you trim this away, if you don't do it securely, it'll flip back on you because you've got some stretch in there. I'll come in and trim away this surplus material, and then from here I'm just going to tidy up that end. Bit of nice shallow taper, tidy up that bottom of that ribbing, and then whip finish 2 or 3 turns of the nano silk, and then I can remove the nano silk. Okay, so the next thread I'm using is Simplify waxed in black in 8/0, and I'm just going to come in and catch that in behind the head, or behind the eye I should say, and then bring it forward 2 or 3 millimeters up over the top of the lace, trim away that waste material. Turning the hook upside down, you don't have to, but I find this a bit easier to do if I do turn it upside down. What I'm then going to do is come in with black emu, and I'm going to take away several hurls, half a dozen I guess, fish can't count, of emu, making sure that the tips are relatively lined up, and I'm going to tie those in underneath the head. You just lost it. It can get a little bit fiddly. You don't have a lot of material to grasp on with emu hurl, so just going to take your time and catch that in with a pinch, a couple of turns, and then I'm just going to manipulate that, draw it back, and I want the legs to be maybe about 5 millimeters long, I guess. Something about that. A couple of turns to lock it, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to trim away the waist butts. And then from here, just simply tidying up that head and finish with a few whip finishes. And that's the head done. And then finally, to finish the fly, I'm going to come in with a black or a very dark brown marker. This is another Prism colour in warm black. And I'm just going to give it some colouring back from the head and across the back of the fly. And you can dab it and sort of play around with the modelling just to get the effect you're after and build some sort of colouring into the fly. But that's basically it. Larva lace larva. And like I said, you can do them in a bunch of different colours. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward to dye. All right. Thanks for watching. Tight lines.